Please.
Is this going to broadcast out there? There's a knob on that. We'll just have to remember.
These are right now just the program. My program. What do you mean from starting? Okay. So then I wouldn't. I should try. You know, I'm just kind of looking for things. I know where all the right turns are, so I know where to be careful with the car coming out. And I know exactly where how to cross the street. I don't have to think when I do my normal route.
It's relatively easy to explain most of the way.
A reading from Mark. Back on the road, they set out for Jerusalem. Jesus had a head start on them, and they were following, puzzled and not just a little afraid. He took the 12 and began again to go over what to expect next. Listen to me carefully. We're on our way up to Jerusalem. When we get there, the Son of Man will be betrayed to the religious leaders and scholars. They will sentence him to death. Then they will hand him over to the Romans, who will mock and spit on him, give him the 3rd degree, and kill him. After 3 days, he will rise alive. The Gospel of the Lord. When Pastor Michelle asked me to speak on change of plans, my first thought was, that is something I am so bad at. What could I possibly offer on the subject? Then it occurred to me that perhaps that is what I needed to work on during Lent. My Lenten journey became a reflection on how to deal with change of plans and what I need to learn. I will share my thoughts and revelations with you tonight with a focus on 2 words, control and tentative. In this short gospel, Jesus is talking to his friends. I think he is saying to them something like, look, I know we've only been doing this for 3 years, and you think we'll be doing the same thing for a long time, but I am leaving, and you are going to have to change your plans. Instead of asking him to help them with advice, they ignored him. And since we know the rest of the story, it looks like they did not get serious, were not very flexible, and had a pretty rough time. What can we learn from them? I am the type that can get upset over the little things. When dinner plans change, for example. Big things, not so much. So I have tried to compare those reactions and see what I can learn. Plans are a good thing. We use them to fulfill goals, provide direction in big and little ways. But when do they become too important? When do they get in the way? Sometimes I think life is like a car ride. We enjoy the ride, and sometimes we are going fast, full speed ahead, and sometimes we slow down a bit. We may see a curve or even a sharp turn ahead, and we don't want to hit it going too fast, or we might flip over. But what we cannot predict is when there will suddenly be a rock in the road, or a sinkhole, or a bridge collapse, or something hits you from behind, or broadsides you and you didn't see it coming. I got hit from behind in 2007 with cancer. I was on a ride that bounced between life and death for a year. I quickly realized that I had lost control and that all plans were tentative. Aha! That is what I was looking for. I think it boils down to those 2 words, control and tentative, and the delicate dance between them. seems a bit like a cliche to say we have to give up control to God. Because even though some of us didn't realize it, we never really had much control. In many ways, life controls us. We had no control over where we were born, the family we were born into, decisions that were made for us in our childhood, circumstances of our life, experiences that came our way. So why do we constantly fool ourselves? Now, I don't believe that God controls life's details like turning a switch off and on. I do not think God said, let's give Joanne cancer in 2007. I think God operates on a different level. And in the big picture is the source of life, energy, and chi. We can tap into that, but it doesn't give us control. Heck, in the big picture, whether I live or die and how, really only matters to me and to a few people around me that my life has affected. The universe will not notice. Neither will the country, the state of Washington, the county of Clark, the city of Vancouver. I sometimes say to myself, in 100 years, this won't matter at all. Heck, it barely matters now. So our plans are always tentative. We don't know when the unexpected will happen to affect them. I must say that when I got hit from behind with cancer in 2007, I was amazingly able to roll with it. Almost easier than changing my dinner plans. Why? Because I knew that all plans were tentative and guarantees were off the table. Maybe guarantees are just an illusion anyway. Now, if I can just use what I learned in the big one on the little things, it will remove some of the sadness and anger around changes in the little things. I grew up in rural Iowa, and there was a saying that was used to punctuate most sentences that had anything to do with the future. That is, plans. God willing and the creek don't rise. We're going to town this Saturday night. God willing and the creek don't rise. Going to Alaska next fall. God willing and the creek don't rise. Retiring in a couple years. God willing and the creek don't rise. Kids are graduating from high school this year and heading off to college. God willing and the creek don't rise. I thought it was just one of those country sayings and maybe a little bit ignorant. Now I think they knew what they were doing and that this was an important and frequent reminder that we are not in control and all plans are tentative. See y'all next Sunday. God willing and the creek don't rise.